But one of the first things I will ask a family is, how did they learn that their child has Down syndrome? There's a lot of misinformation about Down syndrome. And I think part of that is we have to own this as a medical community. We often view how we care from people about what are the things that are wrong with their body and how do we fix those things that are wrong. And that's a very narrow view. One myth is that people with Down syndrome have a global developmental disability, meaning that every area of their development is below average for the rest of the community. And that's absolutely not true. Actually, we know that most children with Down syndrome actually have social strengths, meaning that they have strengths in being able to read how they interact with others, how they make connections with people, and they have that as a strength that is more advanced than their peers. And if we don't allow them to flourish, then that strength will be taken away. I think something that's unique about my experience, I did a dual training, taking care of both adults and kids. And so I learned the culture of both worlds. So we kind of developed the Healthy Transitions program when I joined the Down syndrome team. The parents and the loved ones would say they could not imagine their life without that person in their life. And they will tell me story after story about how that young adult has been central to their family and actually brought their family together or brought value to their family. Down syndrome is just a piece of who we are, just like all of us. Some of us have brown hair, some of us have black hair. Some of us are tall, some of us are short. Some of us have an extra 21st chromosome. And I think that when we as a society don't view disability as a disease, but rather we view disability as diversity. And when we value all those differences, it actually brings strength to all of us.
The point you made is like a misinformation. That's exactly right. I also read like a lot of parents when they diagnosed with a Down syndrome baby, majority of them choose not to have them.
The question of how do we address some of this misinformation? How do we make sure that actually everybody has all the information they need before they make decisions? I think there's a lot of work that is trying to address that misinformation. A lot of what people do, most of the people, what they do is they live in a community. And a lot of the strengths and resources they get are within their community. There's an organization called NDSS, the National Down Syndrome Society, and they do a lot of national advocacy, and they've created a couple different educational profiles that give families the full information of what a diagnosis of Down syndrome means. I think people often mix up the word inclusion with included, meaning, oh, they're here, they're present. But true inclusion is where we allow people to be present, but also valued. But I would ask, why was text messaging developed? Do you know where text messaging came from?
No.
Text messaging wasn't built for teenagers to be able to communicate at school. It wasn't meant for us as professionals to be at our job in a meeting and being able to get a quick message from someone across the table. It was actually developed for those with hearing impairment so that they could use cellular communication. I would guess that we use text messaging way more than we actually talk on the cell phone now.